And Sarah. Are you guys great? All of you guys seem to be unmuted. Everybody seems to be in the room. We're going to go ahead and get started then. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I'm Stacey Olson. I'm the Enrollment Director at the Waldorf School of Atlanta. I've had the honor and the privilege of meeting all of you, of hopefully giving all of you a tour of the school at some time or another. We're in the middle of a pandemic, so unfortunately we are not able to be together today, which of course would be ideal, and it's how we would typically do our new parent orientation, but really delighted that all of you agreed to and have signed on to this call. We hope that all of you, as you become oriented into our community, and that's certainly something we plan to start this evening with this orientation, we definitely hope that all of you will really make an effort to connect with all of your teachers, to become part of the community, to decide ways in which you might make a contribution. And really, we benefit from the energy and the participation of all of our families, new families included. So really encourage you to participate and to find out how you want to be engaged in this really small and really close-knit school community. We have about 60 new students joining us. So we have several of them are siblings, so those folks we never expect to be on the call, but about 60 new students who will be joining us. I would say maybe 35 in the early childhood programs. We have 4 of those programs, from our 2-year-olds to our 6-year-olds. And then another 25 students will be joining us in the grade school. And we have new students in every grade school class. I think in one class, it happens to be 2 students who were enrolled, withdrew, and are now returning on the perhaps back end of the pandemic. But nice to know that you're not going to be the only new student, certainly in whatever class you might be in. So many new students will be joining us. As a reminder, the Waldorf School of Atlanta is part of an international movement of schools. That international movement of schools is 1,300 schools strong in over 60 countries, as well as 2,000 early childhood programs. And so we're very much a part of this movement of really working with children in a certain way, communicating in a certain way, just being very intentional with how we do things. And you'll hear certainly more of that this evening. I am, Tessa is with us. Tessa is the president of the Board of Trustees. And Tessa, I'm going to turn it over to you to do a welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks. I'm sorry I was a second late, but just wanted to pop on and welcome you all to the school, or welcome you back if you departed and are now returning. On behalf of the board, we're thrilled to have you and looking forward to another successful school year in the woods. It's so welcome, and we hope you feel part of the family already.
And Tessa, it's always nice for families to hear about your child, to tell us about your family, how long you've been at the school.
So my child is in 4th grade this year. We have been at Waldorf. This will be our 8th year. She joined Miss Keeney at 3.5 in the early childhood program. So Olivia Sipe is my daughter. She's my one and only. And so we've been at this school for many years.
Great, thanks, Tessa. And Tessa is, it's a new responsibility. She's been on the board, but this is a new responsibility as board president. And so Tessa, we welcome you to that position, and we all look forward to working with you this year.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Abby Wright and Phil Wendell. We have a 2-person leadership team. They'll tell you all about that. Phil is our administrator. Abby Wright is our pedagogical chair, and they will talk about their responsibilities and ways in which they will lead our school this year.
All right, thank you, Stacey. If you hear crackling noise, it's not your computer, but my voice. So I apologize ahead of time. I've been losing my voice the last couple of days. So I'll try to make it short. succinct, to the point, so not to annoy you so much. But I'm really, really glad to see everyone here. A lot of your faces I recognize. My office does is right next door to Stacey, so any chance I get when we have prospective parents come through, I love meeting prospective parents. So I know I've met many of you, at least saying hi and introducing myself. So I'm really glad that you've decided to take this Waldorf journey with all of us. And I want to talk just briefly about our school structure, because we don't really, our school structure is not like a traditional hierarchical organizational structure. We make decisions, regarding policies, procedures of the school, not by having a central figure, someone like a head of school or a principal, but rather by different groups that hold parts of the school, whether it's the core faculty or board or the leadership team. So all these decisions that we make don't come down from one person, and they emerge really from a process of discussion and consensus, and majority of them, not majority, almost 99% of the time, it's based on a peaceful communication among the different parts of the school. So we aren't structured like a normal school. I did mention the leadership team, and I guess if you had a head of school, the leadership team would be that head of school. It's like a two-headed head of school. We have as Stacey mentioned, we have a pedagogical chair, which is Abby Wright, and then the school administrator, myself. So Abby and I make up the leadership team. And we're tasked really for the day-to-day operation of the school. Abby, as a pedagogical chair, really coordinates all the pedagogical matters of the school, and she holds that piece of the school. And myself, as a school administrator, I facilitate, hold, and coordinate the non-pedagogical matters, such as the business office. We have a director of development and marketing, a receptionist, office manager, enrollment director, which is Stacey, all you've met, and a facilities manager. So I have the luxury, I really think privilege, of working closely with all those 6 individuals, and all things non-pedagogically related. Now, as you know, I mentioned these may seem like 2 different separate silos, the pedagogical, non-pedagogical, but as you know, real life isn't like that. So Abby and I work very closely together on almost everything at the school. And we meet twice a week and we discuss everything. And so it really is, even though it may look like a 2-headed head of school, we operate as one. So I want to talk a little bit also about the different methods of communication at Waldorf. We have what I call a layered communication. So many different ways to communicate. Obviously, you'll find out the classroom teacher will be your main way, and they'll be sending home weekly updates to you, communications to you. So definitely that will be your main form of communication. However, there's other ways of getting information. We send out every Friday what we call the Breeze Bulletin. So it's emailed to our community, and it contains just timely information about school events, topics. And that goes out every week. Obviously, our website's another method or another layer of communication. And you can access the Breeze Bulletin there, and other things like community letters. And Abby and I will publish, I say publish, we'll send out to the community a community letter. And we don't have a set time we send that out. It may be 2 weeks, it may be 3 weeks. Sometimes in the past, it's been a couple days when we were in the thick of COVID. So it just depends on as needed. And those will come out occasionally. And And then our main communication platform that kind of envelopes all this is our what we call Parent Square. So it organizes all our communication between teachers, parents, and the school. And in case of an emergency, we have to close school for any reason, or we have a snow day, or more likely have a hurricane day, or whatever it is, we will send this out through Parent Square. And I hope all of you can, and really vital that you get on Parent Square. It's an app, so you can access it through your computer or through the application on your cell phone. And so Parent Square is really important to have. Also, I mentioned our website. A lot of information on our website. Most of you probably have already accessed that at some point. And make sure on our website we'll post up all our community letters. We do have on our health and safety handbook for COVID and our symptom protocols for COVID also, a direct link to those on our website. So that's just kind of a little bit of idea about our structure of our school and then some of the layered communication we have. So if you have any questions, at the end of this, we'll definitely be able to answer about those. If you have any, I mentioned Parent Square. If you have questions about Parent Square, the main person to contact is our office manager, Anne-Marie Pope, and she can get you set up on Parent Square. So as I mentioned before, the other half of the leadership team is Abby Wright. So I'm going to turn over to Abby.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so pleased to see you all here tonight. It's wonderful to see new faces, and I look forward to welcoming you on campus or wherever we run into each other. As Phil mentioned, I am the pedagogical chair. This is a new role for me this year. I was on sabbatical last year, and in the years before that, I took a class grade 1 through 8. So I've been at the school about 10 years. And as Phil mentioned, my job as the pedagogical chair is really to hold the big picture of the teaching and the work that the teachers do together. So with all the committees, the different departments that serve the different grades, I'm kind of a hub for all of that work to coordinate and help groups reflect on the work that they're doing and continually try to learn from each other, to innovate within the movement, and to bring the best work that we can to your families and your children. When we think about the organization of a Waldorf school, it was initially described as a republic of teachers, a group of people who are doing the work, working together to make the school run. And we co-create this Waldorf school, and we're co-responsible for what occurs there. So my job in all of that is to coordinate our efforts and to really help us deepen our craft together. There are a few other pieces that have some various oversight or leadership within that work. One of them is the core faculty. The core faculty is a group of teachers who have committed a little extra time to another additional meeting in their week, and their job is to hold the center of the school. We work together on the core to make decisions regarding the programming of the school, to study innovations or the roots of Waldorf education, and to just generally work by consensus to make sure that things are going the way they need to go with the pedagogy of the school. Another layer of leadership at our school is the department chairs. So each of the departments, the early childhood department, the lower grades, the middle school, and the specialty teachers have weekly department meetings. Oh, and I can't leave out the ed support department, have weekly department meetings where they're managing the things that they do within the department. And each of those has a person who serves as the department chair, who also takes a role in coordinating efforts, helping guide decisions, set agendas, things like that. So as we think about communicating with each other at our school, one of the things that we value very highly is direct communication and working together to solve our problems. So if a question or concern should arise with something that happens in the classroom with your child, I encourage you, first of all, to have a conversation with the teacher. And if after you do that, you still have questions or you feel the matter isn't resolved, I'm happy to be part of that conversation then and help work toward finding a solution, getting your concerns to resolution. But it's resolution. It's really a cooperative effort between you and the teacher, and then myself as support if needed. In addition to these as needed communications, there are also a few points during the year where we have regular touch points for communication between parents and teachers. We have 2 sets of parent conferences every year, one in October and one in February, where each family meets with their child's class teacher and has a conversation about how the child is doing at that point in the year. Each class also has 3 parent evenings every year. And in the parent evenings, all of the parents in the class gather to hear from the teacher a little bit about the curriculum for that year, some of the trips and other things that need to be organized, and sometimes have visits from specialty teachers or other guests to help supplement the picture of the curriculum that we're bringing. Finally, twice a year, we send out student reports. We have a mid-year report that comes out in late January and the end-of-year report that comes out at the end of the year. And these are going to be written records, usually of the things that you've talked about in conferences or other forms of communication with the teacher. It just serves as a summary of your child's work from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, and then a picture of the year as a whole. We always encourage you to reach out to teachers. The more tightly woven the relationship, your relationship is with all of the teachers that work with your child, the more smoothly everything goes. So I encourage you really to reach out, get to know them, take any opportunity that you can to understand who these people are who are working with your kids. I'm going to share a little bit from our family handbook, some just day-to-day policies, procedures, what to expect when you send your child to the Waldorf school. And I'm actually going to get Phil to tell you about the first one of those, which is going to be about drop-off, pickup, and carpool at school. Phil?
Thanks, Abby. Yeah, I'll start off with drop-off. Obviously, that's the first thing in the morning, and depends what grade your child is in, where you dropped them off. If you're early childhood, and this is all the classes of early childhood except the PINS class, and this is based on location. So it would be Keeney class, night class, Miss Annie, Jolie class. I think I got them all, yeah. As of now, our approval on this is pending, but we're moving forward with it because this is what we did last year with the seminary. When you come in, you can park your car across the street in the seminary parking lot and then walk your child to their classroom, whether it's Miss Keeney's classroom or the night classroom or Miss Annie Jolie's classroom. A couple of things about that drop off is please hold your child's hand. Kirk Road is very busy. It seems like a sleepy, quiet residential road, but it gets really busy in the morning. So it's really important that you hold your child's hand as soon as they get out of the car, and walk them across the street. So that's for the early childhood, except for the PINS class. If you're in PINS class, because where it's located in the education building, you can park in the school parking lot and walk your child up to the classroom. The school parking lot is right off Columbia Drive. And if you're in the grades 1 through 8 drop off, we have a carpool, a morning carpool that you turn into the carpool line right off Kirk Road. And you just drive into carpool line and pull up to the car in front of you, all the way to the car that's in front of you and stop. I'll be out there every morning for the grades 1 through 8 carpool. You'll see me, you'll get to know my face very well. And I'll direct you if I see that anybody's confused. I'll direct you to the right spot. So, but the morning carpool for grades 1 through 8 is pretty seamless. And then your child will get out and either walk out to the tents, or if for some reason we're inside in climate weather, into the building. And all that will be determined ahead of time by your teacher. So you'll get notice if we're going to be inside any particular day at drop off from your teacher, your classroom teacher. So that's a drop off, and I just encourage you to look over that in the handbook, family handbook also. It may be a little sticky the first 1 or 2 times you do it, but it's everyone gets the groove of it pretty quickly. And then the afternoon carpool for the early childhood classes of Keeney Knight and Miss Annie and Jolie, it's the same thing. You can pull into the seminary parking lot, walk across the street, receive your child from the classroom with their hand in your hand, and walk back across the Kirk Road and to get into your car. The PM carpool for the grades, if you're in grades 1 through 8, is it's a little bit different because there's 2 carpool lines for those, depending on what grade. The middle school, which is grades 6 through 8, you'll enter our school parking lot on Columbia Drive, and just as soon as you get in, you'll go to the right and just pull all the way up along the right parking lanes. More than likely, there'll be other cars that are already waiting, so you can just follow the direction of the other cars. If you happen to be the very first one on the very first day, good luck. No, I'm just kidding. You can just pull all the way up until you can't pull anymore. It's pretty easy. And then if you're in grades 1 through 5, it's just the carpool line for the afternoon carpool is the same carpool as in the morning. Just come in the same way, pull all the way up until you can't pull anymore. And the students will be looking for your car. And then we'll have several people out there at PM Carpool helping with that also, directing and helping students get in their car, at least look for their car. So that's the start and the end of your day. I'll bring it back to Abby to fill in what goes on between.
Thank you, Phil. So I'm just going to try to hit some real high points here, folks, and refer you to the family handbook for the details of a lot of these things, but just to give you a little heads up about what to be looking for as you start school. So first of all, the first week of school is a little bit funny in terms of its dismissal times for the grades. So the early childhood classes will not be meeting on Wednesday. Wednesday is the first day of school for our grades classes. And that day has a dismissal at 1 p.m. So that's 1 o'clock for the lower grades 1 through 4 and 1:10 for grades 5 through 8. Extended day will run until 4 if you need it that day. So that's a half day for the first day of school. The second day of school is also a half day, but not because it's the second day of school, just because it's Thursday. So every Thursday in the grades, our school dismisses at 1 o'clock for grades 1 through 4 and 1:10 for grades 5 through 8. Then finally on Friday, the grade students have their first full day of school, and that's going to run from 8:05 for the middle school, 8:10 for the lower grades, up until 2:50 for grades 1 through 4 and 3 o'clock for grades 5 through 8. We're doing these staggered dismissal times to help control traffic flow through the carpool lane just a bit. So again, just something to keep in mind for grades families, that every Thursday is a half day, a dismissal at 1 o'clock or 1:10. If your child is going to be absent, we ask that you please email our office at waldorfatlanta.org, to let us know by 8 o'clock, just not to expect your child, why they're absent, so that we can keep track of who's on campus and notice right away if anyone is missing who should not be missing. And then also as part of our COVID protocols, so that we can do any symptom or contact tracking that we need to. I hope it won't come to this, but just again, as a heads up, after 20 absences, we get to have a little conversation, and the core faculty will determine after 20 absences if a child can be promoted to the next grade or not. And another attendance related conversation that we hopefully won't get to have together is after 10 tardies. You get to come in and have a conversation with me about how your child can start coming to school on time. And just to be clear, sorry, I'm used to doing this for the grades, that's for children age 6 through grade 8. Children under 6, there's a little more flexibility there, so please be in contact with your child's class teacher for any questions you have about attendance policies in the below age 6 range. Our school does offer before care and extended day for the day, so we are open to receive children for drop-off beginning at 7 a.m. and that's by arrangement with the school. It's an additional service that we can offer that you have to sign up for. And we offer extended day from dismissal time until 6 p.m. Again, that's something that you sign up for, that we know to expect you. And if your child is still with us at the time that dismissal is supposed to end, they will also automatically go to extended day. Let's see, Phil talked about communication already. In the grades, we have not only the class teacher who teaches your children, but a full complement of specialty teachers who teach classes like music, Spanish, movement, eurythmy, handwork, gardening. So those are ones that all children grades 1 through 8 get. And then as they get older, we also add strings, woodworking, and in the middle school, math is taught by a specialist as well. These teachers are also open to receiving your communication. They're also great to get to know, just again, so that you can have a full picture of all these people who are working with your children. In terms of other things that you really need to think of as you start sending your child here, you can look in the handbook for information about our dress code. We put these guidelines in place to really help create an environment where children can move freely. And we also cultivate an environment of a simple, beautiful aesthetic. You probably noticed it when you came to visit our school. And part of what we ask is that the clothing that your child wears helps to support that. And I think that's a pretty good transition to talking about media. One of the things that we ask not to come to school is clothing decorated with characters from TV, movies, cartoons, video games. And you probably heard the spiel from Stacey a bit when you applied, that we are a low media, no media school. And we have some pretty deep philosophical roots about why we ask for what we ask for. So there are several parts to it, and I'm going to tell you about the 3 main ones. First is that we see movement and just having big full body experiences in the world as a crucial part of child development. And time spent in front of a screen is often in competition with time spent to move your body, to explore outside, just to have adventures in the world and figure things out. Secondly is about the rich images that we bring in our stories and the work with the children. So Rudolf Steiner, who was the founder of Waldorf education, said at one point that you wouldn't expect to give a child a pair of shoes and expect that those shoes to serve the child their whole life, right? To fit and work their whole life. And the same is true of the things that we teach your children. We try to bring them really rich, living images that can become part of them and grow with them as they grow. And we found in our experience with teaching that when those images compete with video games, movies, when the children go home, they just don't go in as deeply and they aren't as effective. They don't have the same effect on your children. And so we ask that during the school week, screens are kept to a minimum. I think it's in grades in kindergarten through grade 5, we ask for no media whatsoever. And as we get into the middle school, we recognize that sometimes it becomes necessary. And so just ask that you be judicious and limit that. And you can see the full details of what we ask for in the handbook, age by age. And then finally, especially as the children get older, there's a huge social aspect to being screen-free. These children, as they come into their adolescence, are really just learning what it is to be social beings together. I'm sure you can think of various faux pas that you made as a teenager in the social realm. And we really welcome those because that's how children learn. But they work the best when they happen in person, when the children can meet each other face to face, when they can see how they affect each other, how other people affect them, and where they can have the supervision and the guidance of the adults around them who care for them. So keeping that active social life out in the world and off of devices really helps support the children in their social growth. And fortunately, we're so lucky in our community to have a group of parents who really have taken up the banner of this movement and have organized to help support any parent, any family at our school who wants to explore more deeply how they can work with a media light lifestyle. And so now I'm going to turn things over to Adrian Kimball and Sarah Michaelson to speak a little bit about their group and how it can support you. Thanks, Adrian and Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby. So good evening. I'm Adrian Kimball, and I'm the mom of a grade 2 student. His name is Garrett, and we've been at Waldorf since kindergarten +2, so like 4 years or so. And I'm also co-leader of this group with Sarah Michaelson, who's going to introduce herself in a second. And we are, what we call it is the Media Light Living Parent Network. Often we just shorten it to Media Light Living.
And hello, I'm Sarah Michaelson. I'm the mom of 2 alum students. My second-born son graduated last year, and I've been part of the school 25 years. I'm very proud to say that. And I'm the founder and co-leader with Adrian Kimball of Media Light Living.
Yeah. So we're really excited to share with you what Media Light Living is. We are a non-judgmental parent network in which parents empower each other to learn how to be intentional about living media light, especially in this culture that is so saturated in media. So as we like to say it, we are families helping families cultivate digital wellness. And we also partner with our teachers to foster healthy classroom communities. So we do all this work by, or the work that we do is we like to share ideas, families to families, practical tips. We have informal conversations with each other. We share stories and testimonials. We do this we also provide structured experiences like workshops, roundtables, periodic after-school events for children and families. And we have our annual Screen-Free Week celebration, which is at the end of the year. And we also foster literacy, which is one of our favorite media light strategies. We'll address that in a bit. We do that through our on-campus book lending libraries and school-wide book fairs.
So what we hope to achieve for our children and our families in living Media Light are more connection with each other, more connection to the natural world, more self-sufficiency and more resourcefulness, more building of our imagination muscles, more worthwhile options to grow our creativity when we and our children are confronted with our own boredom. Here's where we'd like to introduce an easy acronym that may help you, we hope it does, may help you in your Media Light journey. It's called the SPOIL system. Thank you so much, Adrian, for putting that up. It's an acronym to remind us of what children need most. So this idea was developed by Dr. Megan Owens of screenfreeparenting.com. As a child psychologist, she says that to develop well, young children through middle school age need an abundance of time to S, be social, P, to play, O, to be outdoors, I, to perform independent work. A lot of that is pointed at chores at home, and L, increase their literacy. If we focus, Adrian and I believe that if we focus on fostering these activities, it will be much easier to live Media Light, and like putting our thoughts and energy towards what we want our children to have, and that we want to spoil them. We want to spoil them with all these experiences so they can thrive.
So, so finishing up our time talking about this, we'd like to leave you with 4 practical tips that will support your Media Light efforts at home. So one, something easy is to keep items of interest that interest your child in full view, like art supplies, books, and simple games. And you can leave them out on your table or wherever you may have that designated area that is a common area. And then rotate them periodically if you can. So this, which helps build the interest. I often leave out like puzzles or even Play-Doh for Garrett, even though Play-Doh is just, it's timeless. It doesn't matter how old you are. And especially like when I'm on a phone call, it's really helpful. He'll just pick it up and do it. So that's the one tip. Another tip is plan outside time every day. So no matter how small, I really make an effort to go outside with my son every day. And especially during lockdown when we were inside having to be on screens, that made such a difference, because I found that there was a certain energy that you get by being inside on screens that just goes away if you just step outside to take out the garbage. But what you could do, not that you would take out the garbage with your child, but maybe would be like, just go for a walk in the neighborhood, just walk around your yard, or even like a more structured hike. Yeah. So those are 2 tips that I have.
So tip number 3 I'd like to share as an alum parent is it's really not too early in this phone saturated world to make a plan to delay, to really think about delaying giving your child a smartphone as long as possible. Even consider delaying till high school. There is a great phone alternative if you are able to delay till high school, and if you decide it's right for your child and your family to introduce a phone earlier, the GAB phone, GABB, and Adrian's going to post it in the Zoom chat. It looks like a smartphone, but it's not a smartphone. There's no connection to the internet. My son, who's now a 9th grader in high school, he did not have any phone through 8th grade at Waldorf, and just this summer he got one. And I'm so grateful for this phone, for him not to have any connection to the internet. He's just not on his phone a lot at all. So I wanted to share that with you as food for thought. And number 4, at any age, to foster your child's capacity to entertain themselves without screens. It's such a joy. It's such a joy to see that innate capacity unfold in our children. Thank you.
And lastly, I'm going to share my screen one more time. Hopefully you're seeing this because I can't tell. But lastly, we have 2 resources to help you on this journey, which we'll send out later in the week. And one is a handout that's on the left side listing activities you can do that are particular to this time of COVID-19 and social distancing, and if you happen to be quarantining, but you can do them even if it's not a pandemic. But so these are activities that kids can do with light or no supervision, and then some activities that families can do together. And this is all ages. You have young, older kids, and then some cross activities. And then the second handout, which will be digital, these are both be digital handouts, is a collection of testimonials from parents and students from over the years. This is particularly helpful if you're wondering how well you'll be able to pull off this media light lifestyle. And personally, I found it really helpful reading these, seeing that a lot of the parents had started their journey with the same thoughts that I did. Like, are you kidding? No screens. So we'll send these handouts to you later in Parent Square. And finally, if you're interested in getting involved in Media Light and Media Light Living, to receive or give support, or if you want some help, or to volunteer for an event or any planning, we'd love to talk to you, and we'll include our contact information in a future Parent Square email.
So Adrian and I thank each one of you for your time and attention for our sharing about Media Light Living. We're very passionate, enthusiastic about this topic, and we really care. We really care about supporting families and bringing forward the possibility of living Media Light for your child and your family. So share your questions with us, engage with us, engage with our Media Light Living Parent Network to support your unique Media Light journey. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Adrian. We really appreciate your work on behalf of our school for many years. And our school is also passionate about this topic. And so appreciate the support that our parents provide in doing what we believe is healthiest for children of really any age. And so thank you guys. So there are questions in the chat room. So our next, I think 15, 20 minutes, we'll be wrapping up with those questions and making sure that parents feel comfortable, prepared for the first day of school. Oh, and before I move on, I do want to wish Sarah Michaelson a happy birthday. Today's her birthday. We appreciate you taking the time today, Sarah, to spend with us. So I hope the rest of your evening is quite lovely. Yeah.
Thank you.
So really, we'll open up to your questions. I see we already have questions in the chat, and so I'm going to go directly to the chat room, and we'll start responding to those questions. Phil, would you start by talking about the process for walkers and bikers when they arrive on campus in the morning?
Yeah, sure, I will. Yeah, walkers and bikers, we have 2 bike racks. The path that goes from the administration building to the education building, there on each end is a bike rack, so they can park their bikes there. We do ask once you're on campus to dismount the bike, so because we have a lot, especially if they're coming at carpool or leaving at carpool time, we may have people walking on campus. And then walkers, I mean, the same way, if you're walking a child to school or your child is walking to school by themselves, it's fine. Once they get on campus, they can go to their classroom. And if you're walking your child, like if you're in kindergarten or pre-kindergarten, just go ahead and walk them to their classroom at the appropriate time. So yeah, that's we love to have more walkers and bikers and less cars.
Thanks, Phil. I tend to jump around in the chat, so I'll just say happy birthday to Poonam. Apparently it's her birthday today too, so that's wonderful. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Let's see, stringed instruments on the first day. Abby, do you know the answer to that?
I do. The students in the grades won't have specialty classes the first day, so they should not plan to bring their stringed instruments the first day of school. Thanks.
Great. And Abby, a separate question, but perhaps also for you. Oh, do you also help parents balance screen time, especially if their business and or job is all online? Can't wait to hear the answer. Go ahead, Abby.
I'm actually going to point this to Adrian because I know some of the work that she and Sarah have done have been around this.
Great.
Yes, that is, we help with any guidance that you're seeking. I found that Sarah and I think I can speak just for Sarah. We found that helping our children starts really from changing our own habits and finding those habits that bother you the most and that maybe contradict the values that you're trying to uphold. That's like a good place to start for your own personal. Yes, but so we talk about that. That goes hand in hand is our own habits, but we're not telling people to stop working or anything like that. It's all about balance, and digital wellness is what we're seeking.
Great. And it looks like both Adrian and Sarah have shared their contact information. They shared a link to the phone that Sarah spoke about. So all of that's in the chat room. If you have interest, I encourage you to go ahead and grab that information from the chat room. Let's see, Abby, a question about pickup time for first graders. And so maybe you can speak to that again. Seems like there might be some confusion whether it's 12:50 or 1. And as it relates to the family handbook, when I sent out the invitation to this meeting, I did do a link to the family handbook, but it has been updated and it is now on our website under, I think it's parent communication. So please encourage you to access it, to take a look at it, and to make sure you're comfortable with what's in there and that you reach out if you have any questions. Okay, so Abby, to you as it relates to first grade pickup.
Sure, thanks, Stacey. So for our regular Thursday early dismissal, my understanding is that it's 1 p.m. for grades 1 through 4 and 1:10 for grades 5 through 8. But if you've received a personal communication from your class teacher that says something different, that should trump what I'm saying here. There may be a particular situation that they're thinking of or a particular plan that they have for their class that I'm not apprised of. So please check in with your class teacher to double check that dismissal time.
And I see Tamara, you have a question about extended care. I will reach out to you tomorrow about that. Sorry that you have not received a response, but just know that I will reach out to you tomorrow to see what your question is there. Oh, a question about an EpiPen and where that gets sent on Wednesday.
That should come to our reception office. If your daughter is of an age where it would be appropriate for her to drop it off when she comes in, it can go right to Miss Bulmer in the reception office, and we'll make sure that the appropriate information is communicated to your child's teachers and that the backpack that travels around with the class is properly equipped with the EpiPen.
Great. Phil, do you want to respond, or Abby, I guess you could as well, a question about mosquito repellent and whether it's necessary for the students in August and September, those months, as we start the school year?
Well, yes, I wish I could say no, it's not necessary, but we do live in Georgia, and yes, it's very necessary. We're outside most of the time, and a lot of trees out there. We do spray non-toxic repellent. We have a firm that works, that we work with. It's really good at providing repellent that's non-toxic. We spray almost every week. But as you know, they're pesky critters. So yes, definitely lather up your child with repellent. At least until it gets a little cooler out.
Great, thanks, Phil. And Abby, a question about confirming the pickup and drop-off times for preschool.
I'm going to point you to your child's class teacher for that. There may be a little variation from class to class, just because of location and various relationships with extended day. So please do reach out to your child's class teacher for confirmation about the early childhood drop-off times. Thanks.
Great. And Autumn, I see you also have a question about extended day. Again, sorry that you did not receive a response. I will reach out to you tomorrow about that as well. We might have covered everything in here, but I'm going to scroll back.
I see one more, Stacey. Yeah.
Thank you.
A question about drop-off in the mornings. So if in terms of the grades,
Yes.
I mentioned morning care that begins at 7 a.m. If you're not signing up for morning care for the special, like, extended morning day, the campus opens to grade students at 7:50 in the morning.
Great. Any other questions? Again, our goal this evening before we end the call is that all of you feel comfortable with the start of the school year and that you have really just important and basic information about how we will work together this year and just other things we felt would be helpful as the school year got underway. I'm going to also ask, I'm curious whether there's a William Reed on the call. I'm not seeing him, but William, if you're on the call, I'd love to know that, and maybe you can indicate that in the chat room. So William Reed is a alumni of our school, and I was hoping he was going to join on the call this evening, and something may have come up for him. He graduated from the Waldorf School of Atlanta in 2013 and from Academe in 2017. And we always try to have an alumni just talk a little bit about their experience at the school. If he's really not on the call, and I was expecting him, then we may just have to send you a little follow-up email after this call with a few statements from William Reed. He's a delightful young man. He's at Kennesaw State right now, but has often gone back to Academe to help run their sports program, and likewise is in conversation with Lisa Novak, who runs our sports programs here for the middle schoolers, about working with her this year as well. But I'm not seeing a response from William, so yeah, my apologies. Something must have come up why he's not able to join us this evening. Well, with that said, we are close to 8 o'clock. I'm not seeing any other questions. So please do know I will be in the office all day tomorrow. If you need information, if you have a question, please do follow up with me. If for some reason you might have recently moved to town and have not had the opportunity to come visit the school, I'm going to also maybe encourage you to do that tomorrow, just so that when Wednesday rolls around or Thursday rolls around for early childhood, you feel a little bit more comfortable and have your bearings. You know, we'll all get oriented together, and there'll be lots of folks around to help guide you those first few days. But if you would like to come visit the school tomorrow, I will extend that invitation. Please just reach out to me, but I will be in the office all day and can definitely make that happen. Okay, so I think we're done. I think we are going to wrap up. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Again, wish it could have been in person, but definitely as the year progresses, hope that we'll have plenty of opportunities to interact. Some of them will continue to be virtually, of course, but also at least by class, we'll look forward to having you on campus at different points during the year. So take care and have a good evening. And again, we appreciate your participation. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.